Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. For this week's drawing, I will be working on a fan art drawing of Princess Luna from My Little Pony. Starting off with the background, I used a wet on wet technique to create a sky which indicates dusk. So it kind of looks like dusk is kind of falling upon the character. Moving on to the character, I worked on her metal breastplate first. So to create the appearance of metal, I worked in a purplish blue into the shadows of her armor. This will really help to give it a shiny appearance. And then you blend out that color by dragging a paintbrush loaded with clean water. So you want a clean paintbrush loaded with absolutely clear water over the edge of the paint while it is still wet. This will give it a nice gradient effect and make it look a little bit more like it's shiny. I repeated the same process on the cuffs on her arms. The cuffs on her arms were supposed to resemble her shoes on her hooves. Always keep in mind while working on metal the direction of your light source. Next, I worked on adding detail to the eyes. Comment down below if you would like to see a tutorial on how I draw eyes. I used a really thin paintbrush so that I can get as much detail into the small space. Now I'm putting a basic wash onto her skin, and I also do so on her dress as well. This is going to be the lightest color that I can build on top of. So I went through for her skin and created a very pale flesh tone using sienna and opera rose and a little hint of blue. And then for her sleeves, I put in I mixed my own purple by adding the opera rose and a hint of blue. Now I'm working on the hair. The hair, I decided to create the streak in the front to resemble the streak that she has that surrounds her mane in the My Little Pony series. I created this color using a similar pink to the colors I used in her dress. Once the base layers were completely dry, I went through and added some more details by layering on darker colors. These darker colors will provide a nice shadow effect and make the picture appear more three-dimensional. I still used opera rose in this, that way everything would have a little bit more of a living color, but I mixed more and more blues and browns into it, so it would give it a bit more of a deep color and really bring out the color for the shadowing. Always remember to put a little bit of a shadow right under the nose where the nose would stick over her mouth. That way it makes it look much more three-dimensional and quite realistic. Also, while working with watercolors, it's very important, or any medium really, to remember that you can always go darker, but it's really, really hard to take up and go lighter. So I decided that some of her areas needed to be shaded a little darker, for instance, right at her hairline or under her chin. And so I kept mixing darker and darker colors for that, but just remember to go gradually and darken gradually. Now I'm adding a couple streaks to the hair. This will give the indication of strands of hair. In order to provide an absolute highlight, I also masked off a few areas using masking fluid, and that will help to give these shiny spots to her hair to make it look more realistic. When you're shading in shadows, be sure that you work on a completely dry piece of paper. That way they don't blend too much with your previous colors and give it a bit more of a sharp appearance, so you have a sharper shadow. And then gently drag it down using, once again, complete. I moved on now to the wings, and for the wings, I knew that I wanted to add feathering details because what is Princess Luna without her wings? So I went through and used a nearly black color that I mixed using burnt sienna and indigo blue, and I mixed them together to create a really rich, almost black color. And then I put those into the shadows of the individual feathers of the wings. Now, this really is too visible, especially since it's so far in the back, on her back. So I darkened it down using, to finish up this drawing, I went through with my color pencils to tighten up the details. So some of the details that I knew that I needed help on were mostly the shadows, especially along her brow bone and her nose, and around her hairline. This also is when I took the time to go through and darken the areas on her armor and along her sleeves. I also finished this up by making sure that her necklace looked a lot more detailed and would stand up from her so it didn't look like it was tattooed on. I want to thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!